Welcome to the RPG Players Guild. My name is Gordon Jackson. We're going to be talking about races today. The app I'm going to be using here throughout this series of videos is the 5e character app put out by Dungeon Developer, available at the Google Play Store. This app is really good. It has every class, every race, every background, and all the feats that are available in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. You can manage sources when you first get it and download every source book that's in the game so that you have access to all of it in one spot. If your dungeon master just wants to play through the player's handbook, you can select player's handbook only, and you're only going to be looking at races for the player's handbook. Same thing with classes. You're only going to be looking at classes that are available in the standard edition. If your DM wants to play Eberron's Rising from the Last War, and that's the campaign you're going to be playing, and that's where all of your adventures are going to be at, you can come in and all you're going to find is the stuff that's available through that source book. Very good app. So let's get started. Let's talk bugbears. Okay, so getting into going through and looking at the races and available for playable races in Dungeons & Dragons, we get into these, and I shot a video, and I'll put a link in the description for a video I shot on monstrous creatures and my take on it. But really, we get these images based off of Dungeons and Dragons and lore that's in it, and literature, fantasy literature of what a bugbear looks like, and typically they're depicted as the antagonist, or they're, this right here. As always, I like to go into go check out what bugbears look like so that I can find something that looks like the character that I want to run, that kind of gives me some ideas. And when you pull up bugbear, this is what you're going to see. I mean, this is the way that they're depicted, as this big beast with some warhammer or some big heavy weapon. And what gets me is that when you look at, like, in the real world, like where bugbears came from, a bugbear is a legendary creature or type of hobgoblin comparable to the boogeyman or boogaloo or boogaboo, and other creatures of folklore, all of which historically have been used in cultures to frighten disobedient children. This right here doesn't, in my mind, go along with that. I mean, we've all seen Monsters, Inc., hiding under the bed, hiding in the closet. The little kid wakes up and goes, "There's something under my bed." Okay, that doesn't correspond with this right here. So we have these playable races, and trying to think outside the box a little bit, trying to, maybe not necessarily like really trying to build up a culture for them, but they're known. Just like any other race, people have folklore about them, just like with humans. Like, you walk into an elf society and they see a human walking down the street in some small village, and they're pulling their children in because the humans walk. Oh my gosh, who let the human in the village? It could be the same thing here. They may have maybe some of the stereotypes are correct. But overall, if it's a playable race, and you're allowing these races in your campaigns, maybe there are areas where, it's not a big deal. You're going to walk through town and you're going to see orcs, and you're going to see bugbears, and you're going to see all these other fantasy races. But when you get out into the countryside, or you get deeper into a kingdom, maybe it's less common to see them, or the only time you see them is if it's the ambassador and or spies, or maybe there are subcults. I really like the idea with the bugbear of, looking at their stats. They have stats that are both on the martial side and on the sneaky side. So their ability scores, and if you're using Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, you can put 2 + 2 in one and +1 in another. You can stick with the strength and dex if you're playing that type of character, but you can move them around. Your size is going to be medium. Speed is 30 feet. Age, bugbears reach adulthood at age 16 and live up to 80 years, so very comparable to humans. Alignment, bugbears endure a harsh existence that demands each of them to remain self-sufficient, even at the expense of their fellows. They tend to be chaotic evil. I think if we're playing them, I think this right here is really the stereotype of what we see, and when they were in the monster manual. and that really you're going to find every alignment out there. Are we going to find ones that are chaotic evil? Absolutely. But is that the norm? Probably not. Size, bugbears are between 6 and 8 feet tall and weigh between 250 and 350 pounds. Your size is medium. Dark vision. You can see in dim light within 60 feet as if you were in bright light, and in darkness as if you were in dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of gray. They're long-limbed. When you make a melee attack on your turn, your reach for it is 5 feet greater than normal. And this right here, there's all kinds of mechanics that can go on in combat with this right here. Just looking at that one particular, let's go find my grid. I found a grid so that I could draw this out. Let's go find it. Hex grid. So you've got opponent is right here, and let's say you had, you know, a long sword, short sword. So your space is this 5 foot space, and you can reach into this. So you, on your move, you move into this area, you make an attack, and then you move away. Well, that creates an attack of opportunity. But with this right here, your opponent is right here, you could move to here with this long reach, you could attack them and then move, and unless they have a weapon, a pole arm or something that gives them a reach that's longer than 5 feet, if they just had a standard melee weapon, they're not going to be able to do that attack on you. So there's some mechanics on it. I'm not a rules lawyer, and so this stuff would have to be talked out. There's doing research on this, especially a lot of people were really focused on if you were playing a bugbear and you had polearm master, if you had that feat, you know, how that would change it. There are also some spells that are classified as melee spells, and so this gives you an additional 5 feet of range on that. So you'd have to go through and it does, there's a lot of dynamic here. That's a pretty cool little trait. Powerful build. You count as one side's larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. Sneaky. You are proficient in the stealth skill. And this right here is what we're talking about when we think boogeyman. Okay, you're proficient in the stealth skill. How many 250 to 350 pound, let's just take humans as an example, would you classify as stealthy? So this right here, even if the class that you take doesn't necessarily take full advantage of this, there are things that you can do, and this opens up. This is why I'm saying that I don't necessarily believe that there's only like a few classes that bugbears would be really strong in. I think that there's all kinds of things, especially since we can change these if we use Tasha's optional roles, so that we can really build the character around what we want. Surprise attack. If you surprise a creature and hit it with an attack on your first turn in combat, the attack deals an extra 2d6 damage to it. You can use this trait only once per combat. This is a big deal too, depending on your class. There are some classes out there where if you do a surprise attack, you get crit rolls. So you're going to be able to add 2d6 onto that crit roll, and that's 12 points of damage right there. That can be a big deal, and that could work for, you know, even if you're in a class that doesn't have that, just being able to do that in this class is a big deal. And let me read that one more time. If you surprise a creature and hit it with an attack on your first turn in combat, the attack deals an extra 2d6 damage to it. I don't see anything on there that, I mean, that includes spells. You know, this is one of those things you'd really want to sit down and look at it, talk to your DM on how they're going to allow you to play it. Languages, you can speak, read, and write Common and Goblin. Now, one of the things, you know, is with the Goblin languages, you have goblins, you have hobgoblins, and you have bugbears. They're all in the same species. There is a video, and I'm going to put a link in the description too, from WebDM, where one of the things they talk about, and like thinking about world building and like how you would approach this. The cool thing about it is that you can approach it any way you want, because they're a mythical creature. So You can look at what's out there right now in literature and you can go, that's the way I want to play it. Or you can open up your mind and expand that. And one of the things that they talk about is like one possible way of doing it is that goblins transform into hobgoblins, hobgoblins transform into bugbear. So in their group that, you know, like they metamorphosize, like when goblins get done with their life, some of them have the opportunity, maybe like butterflies, they cocoon up, and then when they hatch out, they pop out as a hobgoblin, and that's where hobgoblins come from. And hobgoblins, if they're one of those ones that that's why there's lots of goblins, there's not as many hobgoblins, and then there's a few bugbears as one way to approach it. There's a lot of different things that you can do with that. You know, if you're looking at it in this range, I mean, goblins, definitely there's lots and lots of them, but there's ways that we can look at these races differently. And bugbear, I think, just trying to have some fun with it. Think about, and I went in, I put in bugbear, I put in bugbear wizard. And what did I get for bugbear wizard? I got pretty much the same thing that I just did when I put in bugbear. I mean, all they're showing is a martial type character, but there are, you know, you could play a wizard. You could play a sorcerer. Any class that you can play, you could play with them and work it out. And it would break the norm. Maybe most of the bugbears out there, you know, like in your society, they use bugbears as shock troops, and they're highly sought after. But your bugbear, so when people see your bugbear, if that's the way that it works in your world, that bugbears are those types of shock troops that kingdoms are really wanting to hire, and they've got their own goblin or bugbear guild where that you can hire them off, and yours is the wizard. How are people going to look at you while you're walking down the street? They're going to think, oh, there's one of those bugbears, it's a shock troop, and you're just a wizard. So you kind of get the benefit of people's impression of what a bugbear is in your campaign, but you're playing something totally different. So you can actually get a benefit because people look at you and they have this stereotype in their head and you don't meet that stereotype. I typed in Bugbear Bard. I thought Bugbear Bard was actually pretty cool because you could be a Bugbear Bard and just like playing off of it, your stage name is Boogeyman. I you know, that right there is funny. Come on, that's funny. I don't care who you are. One of the things about excuse me, another picture that I found here that really sparked some fun for me, and let's see if I can find that. Where is the bug? Let's see if I can go to images here. There was one image that I thought was really, really funny. This one right here. This brings up the you know, you want to talk about the thing is like, hey kids, you want to buy some candy? You know, are they the money lenders in town? Where do they, you know, like what niche do they fit into? Maybe there is that secret society of bugbear assassins. They've got those stealth skills. They've got those abilities. There's lots of things that you can do with them other than just thinking of them straight up as, you know, this right here. I mean, this gets old. It gets boring. You could have lots of fun with it. Maybe you want to be that bugbear barbarian and you want to mold into that stereotype, and you let people know that, hey, you know, this is why you are afraid of bugbears. There's lots of things that you can do with them. What we would consider, or what D&D puts as monstrous races, I think we should drop the monstrous and we'll just call them bugbears. But there's lots of things that you can do here, and I really like these racial abilities. I can see some DMs going, well, those are too overpowered. I don't think there's anything overpowered when it comes to that, because the DM, it's not that the DM is going to go out there and then go, hey, you're playing that and I don't like it, so we're going to make sure that everything that you fight is going to kill you. Sometimes this is why the band is the players are the heroes of the bunch. Sometimes it's, you know, just based off what they can do, they can kick butt, and sometimes they get in over their head, and maybe the bugbear is the one that saves them because they are kick butt. The rest of them were a little bit out of their depth, but the Bugbear steps up. Maybe sometimes they get overwhelmed themselves, and running away is never is always an option. But I really like what we see with the Bugbears, and I like a lot of the stuff that's in these stats. I'm curious, and I'll have to talk to my DM about it. And when he watches this video, he's probably going to go, dude. When we talk about the attack dynamics for long-limbed, or we talk about the surprise attack and how that works with some of the either feats or some of the class abilities that are out there. But I really like the Bugbears. I think we should all take a different look at them when we're playing them, but we can have some fun with these. All of these races that I think we can have a lot of fun with, not just always looking at it like that. All right, that's a little bit on Bugbears. I think this is a great race to play, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.